Due to the storms this summer, many have had water intrusion in their homes. And with water comes the potential for mold. So today I'm going to share my mold story and then the conditions in which mold thrives, what to do about it, and how all this affects real estate. Let's get to it. I've always heard that mold is toxic, but I didn't understand the extent until I was affected. Unbeknownst to us, mold was inside our primary bedroom's mini-split air conditioner. We were sleeping with the bedroom door closed, air conditioner blowing mold for months, if not years. My symptoms started with daily migraines, always worse in the morning, rash, hair falling out, night sweats, insomnia, high blood pressure, kidney damage, and cognitive issues. We just couldn't figure out what the cause was. To make it even more confusing, Steve, my hubby, had the more typical respiratory symptoms, which we thought was simply his allergies. Doctor after doctor were flummoxed, all the while my health kept deteriorating. Then, during our biannual AC cleaning, the tech said he saw, quote, organic matter. Within 24 hours of the mold being removed, my symptoms were 75% gone. I am by no means a mold expert, but I do want to share what I learned along the way in the hope of helping someone else. Let's start with mold formation. The EPA says that mold takes 24 to 48 hours to form when the surface is wet. That's why it's so important after a storm passes to get wet things out of your home. In our case, we turned the AC off in the morning, the door closed, and the mold had the ideal damp, dark, and humid conditions to grow. We now know it's best to keep the mini split on all the time and simply adjust the temperature. I know many of you have mini splits, so be sure to have both of your air conditioners cleaned every 6 months. And it would be ideal to have the same tech service your air conditioners each time, or use a small company where the owner is the one who does the work. Now let's talk about loss of electricity and mold growth. If there hasn't been any water intrusion, a relative humidity of 70% or higher for extended periods of time will tend to cause mold to grow. You may want to open windows to get some ventilation if you can. Now let's talk about cleaning up mold. The EPA suggests that if the mold is 10 square feet or more, you hire a remediation company. If it's less, then you may want to clean it yourself. But mold releases spores when it's disturbed, so wear a mask, gloves, and have ventilation. If the surface is non-porous, such as tile, glass, or metal, the bleach water solution may work. But using a bleach solution on porous surfaces like drywall, grout, or wood, the bleach will actually drive the mold deeper into the surface, and that's why it grows back. Also, bleach used on drywall can emit chlorine gas that lasts for a week or more. It's better to use vinegar and water or a fungicide such as this one. If you see mold on drywall, you are likely seeing only what's on the surface. It could be growing within the wall. So when in doubt, check it out by having a mold inspection. Here are some things we learned. Hiring a reputable mold inspector, and if necessary, a separate mold remediation company is key. There are dust and air sample tests for mold. The EPA states that only air sampling is needed, but we learned that mold spores in the air attach to dust particles then settle, so we chose to have both air and dust samples taken. Ask the inspector you want to hire what tests they do. Research the highest MERV rating filter that your air conditioner can handle. We learned that the filter our AC company suggested wasn't doing much filtering at all. Consider getting an air purifier. We bought an IQ Air, which has a wide range of products, but there are other quality companies out there. Now on to real estate. The EPA states that the average person spends 90% of their life indoors, so it might be wise to have a mold and home inspection when buying a new home. Since the summer storms, the Florida Association of Realtors has created new disclosures for sellers to fill out. If you are a buyer, make sure you ask for them. Most homeowners insurance policies do not cover mold remediation, but some will if it was caused by a pipe bursting, toilet overflowing, or fire damage. I never thought about indoor air quality before I got sick, but I did quite a bit of research on the topic and found these stats. 90% of people in the world do not breathe clean indoor air. 47% of people in the U.S. are living with mold in their home. About 4.6 million asthma cases in the U.S. are caused by mold, and 93% of chronic sinus infections are attributed to mold. Knowledge is power, and now you know how important air quality is in our homes. If you have a cold that just won't go away, sinus infections, asthma, or something that you can't find the root cause of, you may want to have a mold inspection. If mold is the culprit, you may not get better until the mold is removed. So there you have it. Have a great Friday and even better weekend.